welcome back, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Um, Tonight it's going to be very, it's going to be a tough topic. So yes, please grab your pen and piece of paper for notes. Um, this is a tough topic, but it's going to come out of Genesis because that's where we need to start. It is the beginning. Genesis 3:13. The serpent deceived me. She replied, "That's why I ate it." And Genesis 3:15. He will strike your head and you will strike his heel. In Genesis 3:16. And you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. Now, I want to say congratulations because it is a beautiful thing to be called to marriage. It is. Um, God planted the seed, He gave you the seed, and you probably already started, or you are somewhere along your journey with, God's son. Now, I'm gonna run a little backstory for you because I talk about him, but This is because it's you are becoming a wife, and and I said I was gonna be honest with y'all about this. Now, I am the host for this channel, and I don't know if I will ever. This is more like a podcast thing, so you will see a lot of like writing and videos of just me um, speaking. And that was one of the things that I had talked about when I said that I would do this. And I know some people will probably think eventually down the line that I probably will um, reveal myself or show myself. And I probably do that later on. But it's the reason why I'm not showing myself now is for the sake of the privacy of like my journey and where I'm like what I'm doing, and it's for family purposes. So I know like most people probably gonna want to know who I am, but right now, no. Later on, probably so. Now I say that because people that do these videos and podcasts, they tend to show y'all pictures and everything. And I think I have always, for me, this is where I would talk about the privacy. You have to figure out how much exposure you want to give somebody into your life. And one of those decisions for me was I would tell you my story, my testimony, but I don't think you need to see it because I want you to have your own picture. God is designing your own wedding and your own, like He's writing your story for you. And I don't want to be the one to give you an like a picture or an ideal to like look forward towards when every marriage is not the same. We not all called to do the same thing. Yes, we are many versions of one of the parts of the body, but we are not out there working. When we're working in the field, you're not. It's gonna look similar to somebody, but it's not the exact same thing. Cause God do something new in each and every one of our lives. We are working for the kingdom, and that should be your strive, your goal every day that you get up and you look forward towards this journey. Now, when you get called to marriage, there's some stuff that's at the beginning, and it's going to be tough to deal with. And this is what I said. This is why I said let's start back to the beginning of Genesis. Uh, I hear of a lot of pastors that are, they're males and they give you their version. So it is a beautiful thing when a woman can give you her version. Now, yes, I do go by Hezekiah Judah, and I explain that reason in I think either the first or the second video that I post. And I go by that is due to the fact that um, it means God is my strength, praise, and if you say it backwards, it's praise God is my strength. And I'm reminded every time I say the names together. And it's not like, somebody, people like this say, hide things. But that's the only thing that I'm like really strong about, is that part, because I want to keep God first. And that is what I'm going to always promote on this channel, is to put God first and keep him first. In any marriage, God wants to be in between. He wants to be in between everything. And that's even with your downfalls, your ups, your downs. He wants to be in all of it. So as you grow to get ready and to be in this marriage with his son, you need to practice that. And when he tells you to put in practice, I know a lot of people get tired of hearing that, but God actually says this in the Bible, to put in practice. Jesus even promotes it, to put in practice, and he even came to be a guide, a model for us to be able to see how it works. Like when you do it, you become a better version. You become that God version, and not what the world wants you to be, or not what you want to be. And that's the toughest part for anybody that's transitioning from the world to God and into the kingdom. And you gonna have to do a lot of work, and it could take years. But you really need to start with the question with yourself is, are you in this for the long game, or are you in this for yourself, for like a short version, or whatever it is that you want to get out of it? That's why you in it. Now, the reason why you want to find that deep reason within yourself is because you have to be willing to go the long route. I know there are pastors that talk about, there's a season that you can jump through, or you can, leap over. But think about your future self. Do you truly want to take a leap over something that God is trying to walk you through or give you a lesson with? And he's taking the time to do this for a reason. And that reason is for something that you don't even know about, that's going to come up in the future. And you need to be prepared for it. So that's what he's doing. He's preparing you for that. So to want to take a leap, or desire to take a leap, you need to sit back and really ask yourself, like, or even ask God, like, why am I truly going through this? What is the struggle of this? Why am I facing this? And as a woman and a wife, one of the toughest things that you're going to deal with is being in second place. There's no more first place for you. You're first when it comes to being like the wife, the head of the household, the woman when he leaves. But as long as your spouse, or you want to call him your husband, whatever you call him, because to me, I really view him as he's on loan to me. So that's why I always call him God's son. You're not going to really hear me say too much like my husband or my spouse, because I have come to the realization that he is on loan to me. He's I'm here to help him, and we are here to work together as partners, friendship, love and grow, because marriage is an enlargement. We are supposed to forever grow together to continue to do this work that we are called to do. And to do that, I need to understand my position and understand that he is God's son first. He will never completely, he's not something that I can possess or own. And that's what you are told in Genesis. And nobody looks at it like this, but I have went over it so many times that I just had come to the realization that no, yes, if I accept the fact that he is God's son first, then I can get over a lot of my humps in the road, bumps in the roads that I think that I am struggling with, or believe that I am struggling with. So I need to come to the understanding and the realization that this man is he's God's son first. And he's really on loan to me because I need to, help him. And that's it. It's not really, and I'm going to have godly children. So I'm the one that can have give godly children. And that we be able to give back to God to continue the legacy and the work that we start. So we are starting a race, and our children, our great grandchildren, and that should be able to, finish the leg of it, like continue to work. And you're supposed to raise them up in the right way to go. And by you raising them up, it's like you starting it. Now you have it. It's in your hand. Now how are you go back to God? It's just like when Moses passed down, with his assignment down to Joshua. But Joshua was always around Moses, so it became like, okay, you make that transition, he should be able to just ease into it. So it's just like with your children. If you raising them up in the right way to go, they should be able to ease into it without the pressure that you felt when you were called to do it. So it should be a little bit lighter on the pressure and you should be able to help them with that and give them guides and tools that you worked through and what you went through. So this is why the notes and everything is not more so for just you. It is going to be for your future, your legacy, and what God is building for you and your family. Now, I picked these scriptures out, and it's because I really hear these scriptures talked about and read, and it's if you find a few videos, some people say the words backwards, or they twist the words, and you should never twist what God has written. But you do want to, when they tell you to meditate on the word, you want to do that, because we all reading it, but it may be something different for you. Now, as a wife, the reason why I point these out is because you need to go back I did a snapshot of these scriptures, and I want you to go back and read it and just sit with it. Now, that's what I did, but I don't just sit with something. I go months with it. Now, some people, they can sit with it for 1 or 2 days, but for me, I really, really sit with it because I know it's something that's going to come up, and I need to know this for myself and for my situation that's going to arise, and I need to be prepared for it. And only reason why I do this is because I always said that when I started this journey, I would be honest. And honesty never has failed me. I'm always honest with people when I come across them and they have questions. And when you are in that field, you will be faced with a ton of questions. And you got to be prepared. Now, some people only going to prepare themselves as far as they're going to go. And you got to determine how far you want to go and how deep do you want to see this enlargement grow. It's so big that if Jesus is telling you that it's an enlargement, that is huge, and God's ways are not like ours, then that means to me it's unlimited. So there's no way you can, if you choose to stop, and the day you stop growing, it's the day your marriage will die off and fail. And when you head for divorce, that is going to be on the both of you. It's not going to be one person pointing fingers at it. If you're heading for divorce, that's on the both of you. But God prepares you so much that divorce is not an option. Now, I don't promote divorce. And I'm gonna tell you this: if you chose to listen to this, and you chose to go through each segment of this series, you're not gonna be here for looking for a way out. You should be looking for a way to overcome something. Because divorce is not an option. If you are telling people that God put you together with your spouse, with his son, he paired you up, and you know this is from God. And I'm going to tell you how another thing you truly going to know that is from God is because he's never going to talk about another man. He's only going to talk about his son. And yes, you can tell God like, hey, I've been looking at this guy. And I even talked about that when it comes to the percentage. And that is going to still stand. God is always going to go with his choice. He can tell you about another guy. He's going to tell you, hey, that guy's not for you. And if you do choose to go that route, this is as far as you're going to go. And he's not joking about it. It's not a game to him. He needs you to do something. He needs y'all to be able to live in the same household. And I go on record to say this too. And I said that you wouldn't chop your own head from your body. So you want to spend your time in your singleness. And they talk about maximizing your singleness. My version of maximizing is you need to go through all the battles and the wars of facing yourself before you get underneath that household. Because you don't want to look at your head and say, I'm going to take you from my body. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Where you going to go without your head? Like, you just going to be roaming around holding your head. It's just going to just look crazy. It's going to look weird. And when everybody look at your marriage, they're going to know that something's wrong. When you're supposed to be reflecting God, you are one body. And that's why I don't promote divorce, because divorce actually tears that body, and you're pulling that body apart. And you're like, I'm splitting this body in half. And that's crazy. And you just imagine you pulling on one arm and he's pulling on one arm, and then you're both pulling so hard to rip that body apart that you're becoming tired and exhausted and everything. So that's why I'm not going to promote divorce or for you to have a way out, because God, if you truly desire for a way out of your marriage, why even start this? Divorce should never be an option on the table, especially for you're saying you're a daughter of God. You already know that, well, you should know that you're going to be second to his son. His son is going to lead you. That's your head, and you are the body. And there should be if you have any questions, this is where you're maximizing your singleness. This is where you can spend all that time going through these motions and talking to God about this stuff. When you get to the household and you underneath your head, there should be no rumbling and tussling over what position that you are in. You should be content and already settled in, and you should have your tools and everything that you're ready to go. And I remember right before my birthday, God was saying that, get ready. There is no practice for this. And I was like, wow, there is no practice. He's right. There is no practice to that you work the field. So this is where you're practicing your skills and your tools while you're out in the field. When you get underneath your head, there you should be ready to go. There's no practice for it. And he's right, because you see it throughout the Bible. And now I come to realize why every relationship that is put together, you see that is put together. And you see God's putting together, and then you see the choices that the couples do, the husband and wife make within a marriage. Like Abraham and Sarah decided that they was gonna try to create a promise, help God out with their promise, and that didn't work out. And then you have Jacob with his whole situation with Leah and Rachel. He wanted to marry Rachel, and then instead he married Leah, and Leah was, God's choice. And Rachel, she was serving idols, and she held on to those idols throughout their marriage. I mean, she stole them from her dad, and she went as far as to sit on them, and she still, there's one woman that's like praising God, and then there's another woman that's, serving her idols throughout their marriage. So that, if you really dive into those relationships, you can see the struggle, and you can take from the lessons of them. And then if you head over to Leviticus, you will start to see where God is telling you, do not do this and do not do this for this reason. And that is because if you go back and look at those relationships, you will see that he married sisters, and they went to war with each other, and it was through their children, their own bloodline, their children. And they was like, well, I am winning because I'm having more sons for my husband. And it was just crazy. And then it got so bad that they decided that they're going to involve the concubines, which is their servants, but they decided to force these women to lay with their husband just so they can, this war that they were having. So it's going to be a lot of stuff that you need to deal with, and don't take it for granted, or like don't look at it as, you're suffering because you're going the long route. And it's okay to go the long route, because even there, you see women that have waited years to get married, and most men, it's crazy because I think even with Moses didn't get married until he was like, he got called at 80 years old. That was, I mean, it got to be a blessing to be still like looking good at 80 years old, And I think about that, but you think, yo, these guys didn't, 60, 50, 40, 35, 30, they get married. They didn't really get married young. So that's God's grace, knowing that, hey, they're not even ready or prepared yet. They're not where I need them to be. And then they had that time to spend, growing and learning. So it's not that you're just on standby. You should be, God's going to talk to you about, the children that you're going to have, and like what you're going to be doing. And then he's going to be talking about his son and what he called him to do, and what kind of stuff that you're going to be facing. And you want to spend all that time, going through preparing, like him preparing you. And you want to appreciate that time. It's just you, it's God, it's Jesus, it's the Holy Spirit. You are growing. Now, let's go back to these scriptures, because I think it's just like, I'm going to just read the whole thing. So Genesis 3:13 is, then the Lord God asks the woman, what have you done? The serpent deceived me, she replied. That's why I ate it. One thing I came to terms with that is that, wow, I sure hope and I sure pray that God never asked me that question. Like, what have you done? I don't never want God to ask me that question. That means I did something to cause his son to fall or stumble. And it's going to cost him. Not only is it going to cost him, it's going to cost us. So This is why when you talk about maximizing, appreciate the grace and the mercy that God has given you. And some women do, you're going to see them get married before you. You've been in your journey longer, but they're going to get married before you. And you got to thank God that, like, okay, whatever reason why he, go back and ask them, like, why haven't you gotten married yet? Or even met your spouse yet? And allow him to have that conversation with you, because it could be either you, it could be a lot of things, like he's not ready or prepared, or he's doing something, and or he's struggling with something, and God needs to deal with him on that, because he don't want y'all to be in the same household and he's going through that. So this is why I'm like, yo, don't, God is not a God that's like, he's not gonna, if you're not prepared already, he's gonna have that grace for you. But also, you gotta remember, it's not like he's giving more grace for him or you. He's doing the same thing he would do for you, for him. And the struggle does come with that, is that he is first. So I think it's like it's one of my biggest struggles, was like, oh my goodness, how come what's his deal? Like, why is he, what do you mean? It was a bigger struggle for me. It's like, okay, this guy is great, and he's making all these moves, and one thing he's really good at is, working and making, like, going along with the decisions that's given to him. So why is he struggling when it comes to us being one? And that was one of my things that I, was having a struggle with. So it's going to be things that you want to look at your spouse when you meet them. And here's the thing, you can meet your spouse. Some people meet their spouse and then they marry them right away. But I think it's God's gift if you meet your spouse, his son, you meet God's son, and you don't marry him like right away. If you're choosing to, go on dates, that's fine too. But if you're not even, y'all talking, or you're talking only here and there, now remind you, you're not living in the same household. You're never going to live in the same household. You shouldn't be living in the same household. That's number one. You never see that in the Bible, that they lived in the same household before they actually got married. So you're never going to live in the same household. And most people that do that they wind up having those mistakes, and they're like, oh, you didn't spend time like with God. And so if you move with this person before you get married, you're going to actually be taking away stuff from both of y'all. Both of y'all going to miss out on something. So it's always good to just wait to get married to figure out, because by then you'll be prepared for what you're going into. And God knows when the both of you are ready, he will bring you back together, and it should just click, because he's working with both of y'all. It's not like he's not working with the both of y'all. So you're not missing out on anything. Trust me, you're not missing out on anything. When you get together, you can go on dates then if you would like, because you still have to grow to, learn how to love this person, and you're going to grow with your godson into this large version of love and marriage. It's not going to be the same as if you're in your singleness and you're like, I love this person, but you're going to love your spouse, and like friendship. You're going to see them as a friend. You're going to see them as a part, your lover. You'll see them as different versions, You're not going to just like see him as just that one type of love. You're going to see him as different versions. And that's the parts that you're going to grow to love. Like, you're going to grow to love all versions of him, and not just because he have a bad day. You're like, oh man, just throw this whole man away because, he's having a bad day. No. And then, he's got to learn the skills too, to know how to talk to you and treat you and everything. So allow God to work with him to get all that stuff out of him, so that when he gets to you, he is fully ready and prepared without having to, feel like he's chewing into you, or you like, oh God, what happened? So just be very mindful of the grace and mercy part, because you're gonna need it for yourself as well, and you're gonna need it for the time that you're spending and going through. Like, God's working with both of you, and you see that how they meet. Like, this is where, like, Jacob and his part, where he 7 years, he waited 7 years to marry Rachel. And yes, she got married to Leah, but and I know some people don't hear of this. Whereas, like I said, for me, God was talking about his son, and then I met him 6 years later. And then even then you meet, and I think the meeting is the biggest part, because when he brings you together, you're gonna be under this agreement, and your emotions are going to probably be like overwhelming. And for me, it was I couldn't believe my eyes, and still to this day, I'm still amazed that, like, oh, God, God didn't miss. Like, he was talking to me about him, and he was describing him, like what he was going to be wearing and his job. Like, he was going into full details about his son. And yeah, it tripped me out, because like I was like 6 years, and he kept talking to me about his son. But I'm like, and he's like, he's praying for you. And I'm going through therapy and stuff. But then I'm just like, God, my God, where's this dude you keep talking about? Never knowing that it was God's grace for me and his mercy for me that I needed to go through my therapy, which is true. I needed to go through therapy. I needed to go through my moments and everything of grieving and all the steps before I ever met him, because I think I would have really tore into him, because I was really angry at the world after I lost my son. But it was a decision I made too at the same time, because God asked something of me, and I agreed. So when y'all are, you brought together, you have to agree to, you have to say yes. So yeah, God's going to be talking to you about him, but you have to say yes when you see him. You meet him, you need to say yes. He needs to say yes to you and be in agreement and alignment under God. God isn't just not going to put you together if neither one of you want to be there. It's not like he's just going to say, like back in the day, you see a woman is taken towards her husband, and that's who she was, the married, she didn't have any no options. Like, it wasn't like she could say no. You have every right to God, no, I want to go with my choice. And that's fine. God is going to be okay with that. But he is going to warn you what you're going to head into when you go to your decision. And then you can't blame him when stuff start falling apart, because you got to remind yourself that was your decision to make. Now, it tripped me out because, like I said, he was everything that he described him to be. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I was just like, I was having a whole moment. To the point where, like, even I had to keep touching him. And then I needed verification from other people, like, you looking at him, right? And I'm just not imagining this. Like, this is not made up. And, I could just see the look on, my friend's face, like what's happening to you? And it's like, okay. I just had to make sure that I was in the moment. I was living the moment. Wasn't a dream. And I was questioning my whole existence. Okay. I was really tripping out. I was really tripping out. And this is why I'm like, God does talk. He will talk to you. And I think most people fear the fact that he is talking to you. And you need to come to terms with it, because you need to understand his voice and everything if you're going to continue to go the route that he's taking you. Be okay with, if you have those small like setbacks and everything, be okay with that. The fight where, Genesis 15 and down to 16 come in, the next, you're gonna have this where he's like, he will strike your head and you will strike his heel. It's gonna be a forever going battle, because the enemy wants to get to you. Not only does he wants to stop you from getting married, because he know what you're capable of, he also wants to get to your husband. If he could take him down, if he could just think about it. If I could take your head from your body no longer is going to exist. Like, you're not gonna be breathing, you're not gonna be moving, you're gonna be dead. So if I could take the head from the body, I can destroy you. That's his game. That's what he's aiming to. So, but I'm gonna take blows to the body. And how does he does that for a woman? He start to get in your head. He start to try to make you doubt everything that God has told you. But you gotta hold on to your promise with everything. You're gonna be fighting from the time you meet God's son. For the rest of your life, you're gonna be fighting. It's gonna be a war. But if you are fighting yourself and you're going to war with yourself and your singleness, be okay with that. God is with you, Jesus with you, the Holy Spirit with you, you got your angel. They are there for a reason. They are to help you through those times that you are struggling with. Whenever God tells you to do something, just be ready to do it. You got to get used to doing that too, and that's to prepare you for when you underneath your head, and your head is like, hey, can you do this, whatever, or don't do this because of this or that. You got to be able to be okay with taking direction, because a lot of women is like, I'm Miss Independent, this and that, it's good up until the point where you're missing a point where you have to be married. When you're married, you don't have to go into marriage, and that's a God's gift. You could not get married, but you're not supposed to be physically with a man. If you're not going to get married and you're okay with not getting married, then enjoy the gift of singleness. Not everybody's meant for marriage. Not everybody's called to marriage. And I really think you get called to marriage when when God's son is like praying for marriage. That's when it's like, okay, let me go get your wife. If you're not married to another man or anything, if you are like just waiting on God to see if God's gonna call you for marriage. Now for me, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was telling everybody, I'm not getting married. I'm gonna have 9 cats. That was me. So when God was calling me to marriage, I'm not even gonna lie, I was ignoring him a little bit, and I was running, and I was just like, no, he's not talking to me. But he was really talking to me. He was like, listen, hello, you, marriage. It became a thing. It was everywhere. It was down to the point where my friends was having a battle, and where we supposed to be on this girls trip, they are talking about marriage. I was like, all right, okay, all right, God, I got you. I got you. Let's sit down and have this conversation. My conversation was happening a few minutes before his son was walking up to the table. I was over there praying and everything. I was praying that whole girls trip. It was a thing, to the point where um, God actually intervened. In Genesis 16, where he tells you that, and you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. I'm going to do a whole another video for this, because this is a part of that struggle. And I truly believe that Genesis 15 and 16, they really go together. And this is something that you want to keep on deck, due to the fact that the enemy will attack you, which can turn around and cause you to want to attack your head. But you have to be strong enough to recognize this attack on you and be able to go to war with that and not attack your head. And your husband should be covering you at all corners, all costs. Now I'm going to tell you this much, because it's going to come a time, and I need you to understand this very, very well. Don't look at nobody else's path. This is where the challenge come in with some women. They looking at their husband, and they'll start to attack their husband. But remember, your husband is still on assignment as well as you. Each of you have your own assignments within that marriage, and y'all working together to complete whatever God's called y'all to do. Do not look outside the window. If you do, take it to prayer, talk to God about it. And if you're with God's son, you could talk to him about it too as well, to get his feedback from it. Do not be afraid to talk to God's son and ask him for like help or anything that you're struggling with. Y'all should be good enough to have that conversation. And the reason why I say you want to focus on just within your marriage and don't look outside the window is because you'll start to have more struggles. You'll start to struggle with even more, like why you can't do this or why you're not doing this and that. Don't be afraid to talk to God about that either. But this is from this video. I want you to understand. Take these verses, sit with them, and then sit and take it back to what God told you that you want to be doing and what's going to be happening in your marriage. You want to focus on that, and then write things down. Go back to the drawing board. So I'm gonna take your I'm gonna say thank you, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. I love y'all, and I want to hear your stories in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later.